operator in the defense.
Yeah.
Wouldn't really expect that for the opening fragment, but well, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, an Ash can plant nowadays. The world has turned on its head. I don't know what's going. The sky is falling down. That's what they say in cartoons, I guess. Let's take a look at our map bans and see exactly where we're going to... I was referencing Asterix and Obelix, okay? I know, you're laughing. Cafe Dostoevsky is our decider for this matchup. FAV Gaming had the pick. Coastline not in there, trying maybe to not enable C9's aggressive play, as you guys were mentioning. What's the reasoning behind Cafe very quickly, and how do you see this going? Let's start with you, Hap.
Now, well, I'm looking at it right here. Both these teams played Cafe against Talon. Cloud9 won that 1-7-5, whilst FAV Gaming 1-7-2, showing a bit more, maybe, opportunity here for FAV Gaming against Cloud9 due to that scoreline.
I think it's going to be interesting to see who it is who comes out on top on this map, because you say they both played the same team on it and they both have a relatively similar playstyle with regards to those specific players. So it could be anyone's game.
Could definitely be. We've seen a lot of flexibility on Cafe Dostoevsky. Is it a lot of Thatcher bans? That's kind of the thing you just throw out there just because it happens all the time. But we've had Wamai, we've had Maestro, we've had Goyo, all be instrumental, but also operators that you sometimes see removed. Some teams, I mean, we've seen. I think you can add it on both C9 and FAV. Suppressors. We saw that in EU even. It's spreading.
It is. It's like a virus, I guess. I don't know. It's getting around. Clearly, they're a fan. It can, suppress some of the recoil on some of those guns. It can reduce the damage that some of them have, but not on all of them. So it really is a matter of preference. And I think people are starting to realize that actually maybe this could be viable.
I think people are sleeping on the fact that also you don't get the indicators, like position indicators. So
that's a huge one.
Yeah, definitely keep in mind. What do people think about this game? Let's put it up on the screen for you. At R6 Esports, APAC is where you go on Twitter to vote on the matches, every single one of them. FAV Gaming at 70% to C9's 30. Oh man, the Japanese definitely had in this one in the public polls. Let's see if Korea can bring it back for Cloud9. All on to our casters. Cloud9 versus FAV Gaming.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I literally was looking at my notes for this game, and I was so invested in them. You can tell I'm an analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. I can see Des. He's so disappointed. He wanted me to take the throw here today. I'm so used to my co-caster taking the throw. I sit back and just let him do the thing. But welcome.
The first and last time, Jess.
This is the last time I'll ever get to intro later. And you know what? I so well deserve it. But I was so focused on my notes. And the reason I'm so focused on my notes is we've seen Cafe several times. Hugely popular map here in APAC. We've got two big teams going head-to-head in it. Cloud9 versus FAV Gaming. We've got Des here with me, the big bro, the nice little duo that we've got here who should have, introed for me because clearly I need to talk late in the night.
Don't worry, Jess. Next time I'll be poking you with a stick to make sure you definitely remember. Either way, you are right. Cafe is where we are headed to. Both teams have played it, both teams with differing results. Cloud9 losing against Talon, a team that I think many doubted coming into the season. Sorry, beating Talon 7-5, I should say. I'm looking at my color coding and it's all horrible. What a mess of a start for the brother-sister duo, eh? Both teams have had pretty good success on it so far. FAV winning 7-2 against Talon, Cloud9 winning 7-5. So a much closer game there between Cloud9 and Talon. But as I think we've already seen from, ironically, Talon themselves, teams evolve and adapt over time. Give them a bit of a chance, and you might see them starting to step up to the plate. Let's get into our ban zone. Nomad and Thatcher are going to be the first two being taken away.
Yeah, not a surprise you get rid of something like the Nomad, of course. And the Thatcher, well, that's been a bit of a default ban throughout all of APAC. I think a lot of the teams are just so used to not playing with it now that, they just get it off the board anyway. And even, we saw the other day, even when you got rid of the Thatcher, the Thatcher was in play, they still didn't even use it. So that's how used to the Thatcher ban all of these teams are. And the Maestro will go out. And the reason the Maestro instead of the Echo goes out, ladies and gentlemen, is because Echo is auto-banned. He'll get fixed eventually, but at the moment, he will sit in a little bit of his own spot in the corner. What do they call it in hockey? In the little square that you sit in when you...
Don't ask me.
You don't watch hockey? Wow.
No, it's just not a thing in the UK, really. We're all about our football, maybe a bit of cricket, a lot of golf. They're really the things that we watch.
I'm ready to watch
Formula
round one of this. Oh, yeah, see, I love Formula One. Round one, FAV versus C9. C9 will start on the defense, and we've seen them do some crazy things, very aggressive things on this map particularly, but on every other map as well. So we'll see whether or not that's something they're looking to do. The Valkyrie gets 6th pick, and of course, there's no IQ in the hands of the attackers, so this could be very dangerous for FAV very quickly.
Could indeed. I mean, looking back at the game from earlier on today, we had Talon coming up against Norengo, and we saw the impact of a pulse back in that game. So I imagine what's happened with Cloud9 is they've looked back at that, been traumatized, thinking about what might happen if they were to come into a similar situation, and have gone, you know what? Let's just get rid of it. I was going to ask you, actually, and I've already seen it come through here, with the Nomad being banned away, will we see gridlock on this map? The answer very clearly now is yes. Chlorophyll going to start off this first round playing that because you want control of red stairs, you want control of white stairs. You do not want to give the defenders the opportunity to go roaming in the late game and really start setting your plans, as we saw Talon trying to do so many times earlier on today against Norengo.
Well, that's the thing, and a lot of people, you know, back in the day, they used to say, well, we've only got 1 or 2 hard breaches. Oh, we need more hard breaches, so the game gave us more hard breaches. Now the flank denial is one of those roles, one of those operators where you're turning around and going, I don't have enough. I mean, if I've got a gridlock and I've got claymores, I mean, that's not really a viable counter, and then you've got the Nomad. Bear out. Huge thing. And I actually think the reason Cloud9 banned it out wasn't for the flanks. I think it's for the jump outs. We've seen them be notorious for it. So I want to see them play to those strengths, especially if you ban an operator like Nomad.
Hopefully playing into that is the name of the game. I mean, the track's not as impactful, you might wager, but still something that has to be considered. Let's not forget as well, it normally gives you smokes as well. In this case, they're opting to go with breach charges. I think here, because they're only playing along with the one, looking towards only the Zofia rather than the Ashe, having those breach charges for more soft destruction alongside maybe the Buck isn't the worst shout. I mean, now I say that, maybe they anticipated we were on a different site, because I can't really see a world in which you need 6 breach charges to assault the top floor.
It's a really big oddity. I'm looking at it here going, there's so much else you could have taken, and you're right, 6 breaching charges. They just storming on in. C4 will fly out and Afro will collect Envy. That's even the number count, but it almost looks like the Maverick of Typon just wanted to get in and get things done. He also had Diffuser in hand. So had he have stayed there, I actually think they wouldn't have had a counter for it, because Sweetback Black is tucked in the corner of Bathroom, completely unaware to the fact he almost entered there.
I love it how you get these early round kind of flurry of kills and then it all calms down in the mid round whilst teams can't engage again. Okay, well, get back on the drones. What exactly is the game plan here? What is it we're now trying to push for? The answer so far for FAV Gaming is to take things nice and slow. They haven't yet dealt with the shield playing on Pixel, which I thought might have been a point for them to deal with, but now they've already killed the one member that was playing behind it. Well, I guess there isn't that much more to be worried about. Going to go to work in getting up, opening up washrooms and storage potentially, but there's always a fallback plan here. Sweet Black, the man himself on the smoke, is back behind the shield, and he can waste so much time inside of here if he plays his cards correctly.
I just don't see it happening. I mean, they've got 2 grenades, okay, they don't have, you know, all of the ability to get rid of the ADSs. They do have number 2. He's got a couple of flash grenades. I'm not sure where he's positioned at the moment. And, well, he might not be in a good place, but Shah will kick things off onto that said player. And, well, the flashes are gone now. And guess what? You've only got breaching charges and 2 grenades. They won't get rid of him, but Afro, he'll get Shah back. This is a good evening of the number count. 30 seconds left, and Afro's deciding the vertical play is what he's after.
See this a lot from Team Secret and EU when assaulting this site. You're just trying to force the defenders from playing inside a cocktail and moving over instead to playing inside a bar, or worse yet, forcing them into white, where you might have some lurking guys waiting from the attackers at the far west side of it. However, they've left this one pretty late. As you say, there are only 30 seconds left. At this point, 15 seconds left in which they need to be making a play. Gonna swing round, but Nova still wins those. Typon finds one. It's kills back and forth as Afro finds a triple kill. It's a 1 versus 1. Can Afro complete the things out here? He's down to no time at all. There will be no time left. Cloud9 win by the clock, but my God, was it close.
I thought the Doc play there was really smart. I mean, didn't play overly aggressive as we would expect the defenders of Cloud9 to play. He actually went, okay, I can play this angle quite well. I can shift over to Heaven when I need to. The repel in of the gridlock, that didn't dissuade him any whatsoever throughout that entire round. So I think overall he had really good control, but I think his teammates were a little bit, you know, all over the shop. There wasn't really any control closer towards Cocktail, closer towards Piano. That shield player died quite early. So they're very lucky that, you know, the Doc was able to put together a few kills there. Otherwise that would have turned ugly very quickly.
And imagine if it turned into that horrible 1v1 with Afro just charging in towards the dock at the end. And I agree with you, that crucial kill when someone's swinging onto a dock and he still lands those crucial shots like that, they're the big round changes here. Otherwise, as you say, he would have been cleared out and that round would have been over a little bit sooner. Always comes down to the small moments in rounds like those. It ain't always someone going with 1 versus 5 and clearing out a whole team. Sometimes it's just not hitting shots at the right moment. However, Cloud9 win at that first round. We go down now into Reading and Fireplace. You're probably going to see more of the same in this round, I think, Jess. Bit of a focus on the top floor, clear it out, get that vertical control, and then start setting up for the execute. But as we've already seen out of teams today, sometimes you run out of time and have to just put all your faith in trying to go for a push without vertical control.
Well, we see a little bit of a utility dump here. We've got 4 grenades, we got 2 smokes, 3 breaching charges, and 3 flashes. So a good diversity of those pocket gadgets, those pocket utility. And I think that's really important because what they're going up against is a top floor hold, like you said, with vertical holes. They need to at least dissuade the defenders from using those vertical holes. And the only way to do that is apply pressure or delete them off the map completely. So they don't have a lot of options. You need cocktail control. And depending where they want to play it, they could actually just go and get mining control. They get train control and going through Fireplace. There's no verticality possible above it. So that could be a counter to it. But Sweet Black currently laying down and train there. He'll be the counter for that. And I mean, I'm not sure what the right decision is here, but it looks like they're doing a top down as their decision making.
This is normally the go-to way. As said, the thing you got to worry about then is the C4s. If you haven't cleared out that second floor, then you are at risk of C4s. But if you've already cleared out the second floor, then why bother with the top floor? It's kind of a weird one where you have to choose one or the other. Both have their advantages, their pros and cons, dare we say. But this has been a really interesting start to the attack coming out of FAV here. They started out downstairs and blitzed their way through, and Shile has no idea, caught up by Shin super early on, and they're trying to blitz their way out the rest of the map.
We saw this last round as well. They rushed in, tried to get a lot of kills, and now we're down to a 3v3. Of course, half the round has elapsed, and a lot of that came down to them rappelling to the roof, opening up the hatches, and getting that control. Half of Start and half of FAV wanted to be more aggressive, and the rest didn't. So push there, but the number still reigns true for both of these teams. So I think they both have a really good chance. If the attackers speed things up ever so slightly, they have the better with this.
I mean, that's a different kind of speed, seeing a Hibana charging his way through the map. And it's Shin here, it's Doki and Shaiko in EU. What is it with all these fragging players liking to play on the hard breach? Beyond me sometimes, but everyone loves playing on the hip, it shows. Either way, it's similar to last round. We're halfway in. We have seen that initial firefight kind of die out now. It's got a little bit quieter. Drone work comes back out again, and now we start to rebase ourselves ready for an attack. On the other side, they only managed to bring down the Jaeger, which arguably is one of the operators you're relatively comfortable losing once all that utility has already been put down. But the Newt, I'm not too sure they'll be happy about losing that one. One of those crutch operators that you want on the site for when that final execute comes through.
A sledge into the Fireplace wall, and that will give them access to the site. Smokes will come out, but look, that's above. Beautiful vertical holes coming out. That's going to stop all of those plans, and it leaves number 2 in a 1v3, and he's hoping he can bring it down to 2, and that he does. Beautiful SMG snipe over onto White Stairs. Can he do this? ACOG in hand. Without that vertical above, maybe, just maybe, the attackers could have had that plan and ultimately had that round.
Completely destroyed the fireplace setup there they were going for, because we don't normally see this being the focus. Most teams will focus on getting control of pillars, putting their way in through the single door, or opening up the wall that leads in towards library. And there, as you saw, that was absolutely not the game plan. Fireplace, not the most common. But the big thing in that round was what we touched on earlier on. We said, you know, if you clear out the second floor to make sure you don't get C4'd from below, you're on the same floor as the site, you may as well carry on. If you clear the top floor, you might get C4'd. Here, we had the exact reverse happen. They took over the second floor and got shot from above because they didn't have full control of the top floor. This is why this site is quite favorable to defenders, and why I know there's been a bit of discussion around it lately. Lots of teams like it because you can do those sort of things. You can waste a lot of time for the attackers, and they're kind of forced to take shortcuts that either leads to you getting destroyed in one way or hurt in another. You have no choice, really. You are going to find yourself at some kind of disadvantage.
Well, now we'll go downstairs into kitchen, and a lot of people have favored this, at least at EUL, as one of their, I guess, primary bomb sites. A lot of teams say this is the bomb site I prefer to defend. Not sure why. Maybe top floor is just, you know, so much meta being set in the push that that's not really something they're comfortable in holding anymore. And it takes a lot of time to get the vertical control that you need, especially if the defenders decide to do a top floor hold. So maybe it's really time consuming for the attackers, and that's why we're seeing this sort of preference. But Cloud9, very likely to do a roam here on this. They had really good vertical control in the previous round, like you said, so why not replicate it here for Kitchen? This is a great map, or a great site, rather, for them to play vertically, but look at all those ADSs. This is a bakery hold, and if Easy could let us know if they've got to rotate from bakery into Kitchen behind Grill, nuh-uh. So Charles throwing his life on the line for this one.
Again, not always the worst case for a Jaeger if you are wasting a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and you lose your life for that. You'll take that against most teams, as you know they will have to panic coming into the final execute. But ideally, he would be alive for a little longer. However, it looks like it's going to be a top-down clear coming in from FAV right here, so not bothering to start inside a bakery. So although a bakery hold, not necessarily going to be wasted here, it will detract the attackers from putting their focus in there. They're going to have to start on the top floor and make at the very least sure that this is clear. But it's Envy, goddamn Taylor. We saw what he did last week. The number of opening frags he was getting on Consulate. Here, though, he is the opening frag. It's Afro swinging him and picking him out, and there goes the Vigil.
It's almost like you cast or cursed him instantly. You spoke well
I'm
of
just
him.
a witch doctor. Honestly,
You
it doesn't
really
matter if
are.
it's like
You
opening
absolutely
kills
are.
or predictions. I'm a curse. I don't know why you cast me, to be honest.
Ooh, good smoke onto the Zofia there, but you're right. Ladies and gentlemen, if Des says one thing about a team, expect it to go the complete opposite, and that's what happened to Envy Taylor there. But you're right, he's been an absolutely big hitter for C9. I've been really impressed by him, but now C9 are left to pick up the scraps here as they lose one of their key players, but more than half the round has elapsed, and the site is all the way downstairs, and they're all so they need to move down. They don't have any vertical hold. They only have the luck to do it as well, which is a bit of an oddity now. He has flashes and Claymore to really work with. Bad droning means Nova will get one, but Afro will trade straight back, so that's good for the attackers, but that should have been droned, and I think C9 are feeling a little bit on the pinch here because they've delayed a lot of time for FAV, and FAV knows they're running out of time to get onto site, but they just need their anchors to be strong, passive, and a little bit guarded going into these last 50 seconds.
Such a crucial pick, though, as well. We keep speaking about these single kills that change the course of a round. That is Chloroform going down on the Capital. Without those smokes, they can't easily get inside a freezer. If you do try and drop down through Fireplace, you're walking straight into the smoke, holding inside a Christmas. That being said, he is bailed. He is Audi 5000. He is back on site. So maybe now it's not so bad, but you still risk running straight into a shotgun out of Harper if you are not careful. A lot of things at play here, and we've only got 20 seconds left on the clock, Jess.
Absolutely. But it's too late, too sorry. Some good shots, and I take that back. They're whiffed in the end, and they're going to go for the execute. Smoke with a shotgun in hand. He'll get one, but he'll get traded. And it looks like Harper from behind is the one to kick things off. He knows everything's good on the other side because he's got Charles. And, well, this is what we talk about, time management. This is why Kitchen is possibly one of the favored sites for a lot of these teams, is because you just leave your anchors on site for 2.5 minutes and they won't see anyone for that entire time.
You can just sit in a corner and wait for people to come to you. It's that simple. I mean, a lot of that is put down by the defensive team being willing to commit a roamer or two to pushing up to the second and third floors to at least say to the attackers, you cannot ignore top floor. You do need to come for us because, as we've seen quite a few teams do today, the executes come through Fireplace Hatch. And to hold that down, you need to be confident no one's going to come running down white stairs and spray through the wall. A Vigil, no doubt a big threat with that, being able to impact those walls open as well. You have to be so cautious of it. But let's not forget as well, it's not just teams in APAC that are struggling with this. We saw G2 versus Na'Vi. 2 of the pushes that G2 did in towards Kitchen went all the way down to the wire. They had no drones left. They lost both of the rounds they were attacking Kitchen. And it just goes to show this map is a nightmare to cover the whole thing sometimes. Imagine when you start throwing things like an Oryx into the mix as well.
Exactly right, and Nova will retake that Doc position. He's been promoted to Doc, as one would say, and he's doing a heck of a good job doing that, and I hope he continues up that long angle from over on Heaven. That's probably the most effective angle that an ACOG can hold on this top floor. Castles will stall them out even more. They're going to throw them on the windows. I wonder if he'll get the second as well. He will. This makes me think that possibly they might want to have a heavier presence in piano than otherwise suggested, because if you have those up there, you know they're going to waste a lot of their utility on that already. And on the attacking side, they do have a sledge, but he would have to repel twice to get both of those.
It's not just that as well. I mean, the one looking inside a Cigar, you can see the hole they're trying to commit to. I would expect there is a mute jammer down inside a Cigar shop alongside the shield, the barbed wire, maybe an ADS or two as well. Yep, there you go. There is indeed a jammer in there. So they are just saying this is ours to hold, and you can't drone it out to find out exactly what it is we're doing. The ADS is inside a piano. It's a cover the Zofia from being able to blow it up from range. So it's a very heavy utility setup coming out of them here, facing out towards the west side, again with a big focus on trying to waste FAV's time, because clock has been their worst enemy in these first 3 rounds.
They've actually decided to use their X-Gyros, one pair of X-Gyros on the southern end castle, which I thought was pretty interesting. We've seen them do it before, so I'm actually not fully surprised, but of course that's a little bit of a waste of utility when you think how important hard breach is in this game already. And well, MV Taylor with the shotgun. This is now becoming one of the meta setups to have that castle there and to be able to play with the shotgun closer to the red hatch. And he'll use another pair of X-Gyros too. A lot of utility used into piano, but most of it wasted.
I guess what kind of worry is you don't necessarily need the X-Kairos on this side. A part of the focus can go into opening up the freezer wall, but if you have a Maverick, he can do that. And I thought for a second it was the Maverick going down, but no, it's the hip. So now it's all down to Typon on the Maverick if they do want to start getting some sight lines opened up in towards washrooms or in towards storage, so you can force these defenders out, because for now they don't need to leave. They can keep on peeking out and contesting White Corridor if they so choose. A minute and a half has been wasted. Both sides are down an operator. I'd say this is a good advantage over to the side of Cloud9.
Absolutely. They'll now start to open up a little bit of a crawl hole into piano. It's a little bit tight of a circle. He'll need to open that up just a little bit, and he doesn't want to waste his fuel. This is the thing. Fuel consumption is very important. That's why you see him only using bit by bit, because he wants to use it on the piano wall. Well, he'll leave enough. I believe he's got about 1.5, 1 3/4 worth of that blowtorch left. That's more than enough to be able to get this wall open, and that long angle opened up to piano will give the dock a really handy line of sight if anyone goes to Christmas tree, but they've surpassed that point now, and well, they need to be able to protect the Maverick as he gets this wall, and no Claymore to do it. They're just going to move on in. Proximity alarm. And, oh, goodness me. Good shot from Shah, but he'll get down as well. It's all happening 1v3. It's all up to Typon. He's got 25 seconds left. Grenades will spring out as well. He needs to find these last 2 defenders. He'll find one, but the shots don't connect as intended. And, well, another round for C9. And what's looking to be a very convincing first half for Cloud9.
You know, coming into all of this, I looked at Cloud9 off the back of their last few games and thought, this is a team that likes to play aggressive. We saw them against Q-Confirm, we've seen them against Guts, and we've seen them against Talon. They like to go for these gunfights here against these aggressive teams and try and shut them out just through winning on sheer aggression. All we've seen so far in this first half is really intelligent play out of Cloud9. The setups coming through, the time wasting. Clearly, FAV maybe not as efficient at clearing these things out as you would like them to be. It is leading Cloud9 into a spot where it comes down to the final 20, 10, even 5 seconds, and suddenly there's a rush from FAV, which Cloud9 are more than happy to take. They are in their element when the attackers are panicking, and they are currently 4-0 up. A really good start to Cafe for them.
We can kind of give it the benefit of the doubt here as well, that both of these teams might feel very confident on defense. We might go to the second half and FAV just absolutely ravage C9, and okay, we turn around and we go, no problems. They're both quite proficient in defense. But I am worried for FAV. Their time management has been very bad, and that's something on attack that can be very hard to coordinate and synergize in your team. So I understand it's a difficult, I guess, method to get right, but it's something that they haven't in the past 4 rounds been able to at least adapt to try and speed up a little bit. I just don't see it from them. They're still being overly careful when they know that that's been losing them rounds.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
There's a world in which, you know, we saw them already try the kind of rush route there, where we had them charging up white stairs. It led to a 2-2 trade, and then the round kind of settled for another minute and a half or so. So we've seen them try the aggressive route. We've seen them try the slow route quite a couple of times now. Whew, I mean, this is one way to do it, is to let C9 get a little bit confident. That's quite a couple of times now that Envy has been shut down and trying to play this more aggressive roam game. Nice from Shin.
I tell you what, most people who even play rank above, I don't even know, I guess a gold level in any region knows that you keep a drone outside. If one of those gets broken, 9 times out of 10, there's someone standing ready to left you. And I mean, you don't even need a sight to be able to shoot back at that. I mean, of course, you have the holographic on the Habana, but I mean, you can read into something like that so easily. So, Envy Taylor, bad decision from him. He was actually a very important operator. If you guys don't know, he has magnet discs, which he can deploy, which is kind of like a Jaeger type device. It doesn't destroy the projectile completely, but it will relocate it to where the magnet is placed. And it does, over time, allow him to have more magnets. So if he dies early, he loses a lot of that effectiveness very quickly.
Let's have a camera here inside a piano as well. That pre-play C4 just daring Shin to vault over, and I thought he was for a second there. He's just trying to play patient, but equally you can see Afro, that drone has spotted him out downstairs. They know what the plan is here. So I imagine on Shin's side, it's a case of let's be cautious. Let's not get ourselves caught up by a C4. Let's not do anything too rash. And speaking of being rash, he's going to find a second kill. This time onto Shyle, and Cloud9 find themselves at quite a numbers disadvantage here. 5 and 3 with 1 minute and 10 seconds left to go.
They've been a tad faster with this, which is shown in their ability to catch a couple of people off guard. Of course, the spawn peek, and well, that was a beautiful counter peek there. Good trade coming out from FAV. This is what we wanted from them earlier. We wanted them to take those picks confidently and get the trades. Talking of trades, Nova decides before he rotates back to side, he'll take his own SMG up through the grates. That's a beautiful down onto Afro. He cannot confirm, though, I don't think. And, well, he can pick herself up.
I mean, yes, it's so good to have a backup, but she's on about 5 HP. Not that it matters when you can hit shots like that. Harper's now down. It's a 1 versus 3. And this is opportunity for FAV to take the round. 30 seconds to go and plenty of room to go for a plant. Not that they need it, as it's going to be Afro with 2 kills to close things out there. 1 onto the down member, and of course the final one being those critical closing shots. And finally, FAV will get a round on the board.
A far more convincing round, a round that I think is really telling of the kind of attacking team that FAV knows they can be, but hasn't been able to present for us here today. So I'm a little bit concerned for FAV because it's taken them so many rounds to get themselves in the game, but it's okay. This is the last round of attack. Then they'll move on to defense. And, well, if they can win this one, it leaves them in a 4-2 split. And on Cafe, that's kind of okay.
Yeah, I think it'd be okay for them. I wouldn't be too worried if you're going in a 4-2. Ideally, I think in Cloud9 shoes with how the first half has gone, how much time you've wasted, how exhausted you've made FAV look at points, definitely trying to slow them down and play the game out longer is the way to go, and they can definitely make this a 5-1. In this case, we're seeing a cap cam being brought along, so it's not going to be the vigil like we saw MV on earlier on. We saw this coming out in Clubhouse a little while ago. It did get a couple of kills, I believe, in that game against all odds. Here, it's about slowing things down, and I love how the focus is going to be on Freezer once again, because I expect in their minds, they believe that FAV are going to go for a similar sort of approach, take control of Fireplace, and drop their way through.
Well, C9 is requesting a rehost because someone can't hear properly. And you know what I say to that? Get better headphones, kiddo, because it's no one else's
Very
problem.
good.
But yeah, that was a good one, huh? It's like BMing the players, which casters should never do.
I can just picture you in like shades and like a cap wearing backwards with the actual cap bit at the back, being like with your arms folded, like posing like a cool kid, being like, "Get better, kids." And I'm just like, Jess.
It was worth it. Harper will drop and a rehost should come out, and that means I'm pretty sure you'll come back to our gorgeous faces in a second. And
Jess, just so you're aware, you're on camera this time, okay?
Where's my notes? I should look at my notes for a long time. Okay, take it away, Dennis.
You know, I didn't even actually see the clip the last time. I can't wait for someone to send that over to me just to be like, wow, that really happened. What were you doing?
You know what? It was actually Dez's fault. He sent me his Excel sheet with all of his notes. So I was directing my attention to the notes that Dez had sent me so that I could be on top of his points and my own. So to blame anyone, ladies and gentlemen, it is entirely Dez's fault.
I don't know what you were reading because the sheet started out empty. It gets populated as the game goes by. I like to track round winners, who gets the opening kills, a few comments on each round, and there was nothing there to read. The game hadn't started, so don't you try and pin this on me.
Siblings never shut up, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's the one thing we can take away. Yeah, we are bickering, but something else we can bicker about is how the first half has gone thus far. Very one-sided, I think we can say. It's only since the past 1 or 2 rounds that FAV have really shown that they can come back against Cloud9.
I mean, in my mind, it's not even like we've seen coming out of T9 what we saw them do the other day on Consulate. They weren't running around finding the entry frags all the time. They weren't really slowing FAV down in kills. It was utility that was wasting most of the time, whether it was sending a couple up to the top floor and saying, come and get us, and having to commit drones up there, or whether it was going for a big extended hold inside a cigar shop. Multiple times we've seen them really just bring FAV to a halt until we get to about the final 30 seconds or so, and then FAV go, damn, we've actually got to make this happen now. We've got to go for a rush. And we've seen cases where Charlotte's found 3 kills inside of White. We've seen ones where they've charged their way inside a bar and get picked off. It has been really well played by Cloud9. They are playing very strategically, and I'm really happy to see that side of them really starting to flourish. The question is, and we always say it, there are 2 halves to Siege. Can it continue when you get into the second half of this map?
What's really surprised me as well, and something that I want to bring up, is that C9 has not really been as aggressive as we've seen them do previously. They banned the Nomad as well, so it really showed me that they probably wanted to do that aggressive play. But I don't think I've seen one jump out. I actually can't name one from the past few rounds at all. So given that we've not seen that aggressive play, I mean, the one guy I can expect to do it is Shell, and he has been playing back very safe, very passive on the white stairs, like you said. So interesting that they've completely changed their play style, which shows me that Cloud9 could probably be really versatile.
Yeah, I mean, the Nomad is the kind of one that surprised me to see you're starting off on the attacking side, yet you're inhibiting yourself. It's either they think, well, we can adapt without the Nomad. We're not worried about jump outs coming from the other side. But when we see Cloud9 switch, that's when we definitely want to get jumping out of windows. So maybe it's a preemption of the side switch. But I don't know about you, but in my opinion, if you're banning away an operator that's going to hinder you when you're in that half first, it's not always going to be the smartest play because the game could be all but over by the time you get to halfway.
Exactly, and it did look that way. Of course, there is still 1 round because we just had our rehost in the first half. So FAV can bring it back to a 4-2. Otherwise, we'll see a 5-1. And that's not exactly the position you want to be going into the second half with. I think most people will agree on defensive-sided maps. Of course, I'd love to see the new statistics around which maps are more defender or attacking-sided. We've actually not gotten new ones yet. So whether or not that will be propagated over the next month or so and give us a better indication as to which maps are actually defender-sided or attacking-sided, or which ones are quite even now. I think we'll see whether or not FAV can bring it back. They do need this last attacking round. They really do, because when you move into defense on the second half, you've either got to win almost every round or you're putting yourself in a position to have to strike OT, which is a harsh one to put on an entire team.
We've already seen 15 rounds of Cafe today. I don't think I need to see another 15. I won't lie to you. I'm hoping that at least there are some lessons being learned from earlier. And we spoke about the pulse ban earlier on too, around how in the first game earlier on today, there were a good number of C4 kills coming in from below. The key one being from BD in one of the rounds getting a 2K. It's just the intel being fed over. That being said, we have seen C9 running around with the Valkyrie and trying to go with the pre-play C4s for that. Just Shin was being a little bit too cautious, not wanting himself to get picked off by that pre-place.
Exactly. Well, we saw some good Maverick use as well. That's something I want to highlight. A lot of the time, the flex and support players, they don't get a lot of love from the community, and I'm the kind of person that loves to highlight good flex and support players. I thought it was really well done, the flank holds. I don't think there's been a lot of flanks where I've turned around and gone, wow, what a hole in the defense or the attacking here, and a big advantageous position for the defensive to be able to flank up. I've never felt that so far throughout the matchup, so it's good. They've had pretty good flank control there. They're using the gridlock for it instead of the Nomad as it's banned out, and I'm enjoying the Maverick use. You can tell that he knows that he needs to use his Maverick with a little bit more conservation in his mind, because that's why he did such the tiny hole into the piano wall. So I love to see players who are a little bit more aware of their utility, how they need to save it, and what they need to do moving forward. So that was good. Just time management is such a huge issue for a lot of teams in APAC, actually.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, a lot of it has come down to not the flanks, but instead the vertical players we saw from Envy earlier on back in round number 2. It was him getting above and causing some trouble instead. So it's almost like the flanks coming out of C9 aren't really designed to be aggressive. They aren't designed to come up behind someone and kill 2 or 3 people. Instead, it's to get yourself into a position where you can kill 2 or 3 people because they've left some part behind them a little bit empty or forgotten about. We spoke about Oryx earlier on. Some teams bring Oryx, especially when defending kitchen. You want him to run around on the upstairs. Na'Vi spring to mind as one of those teams. But here in APAC, hasn't really been a thing so far.
Exactly. Well, whilst we have our players load back into the lobby, and they'll just be loading back in for the rehost, we'll have a little bit of a breakdown about APAC as a whole so far. I think there's been a little bit of confusion about how the system works in APAC North. It is different to EU. It's different to North America. What happens here is that there is 2 parts to 1 phase. And all right, I know I've probably lost half of you already, but just stick with me here. 2 parts to 1 phase. Phase 1 has a Swiss system. And once you get halfway through the first phase, everything resets and you go back down to essentially reseeding yourself. Everything resets. So this is why these wins are in the first half of this first phase are very important. And I think that's what Cloud9's trying to do, because the more wins, the more points, not those traditional 3 points, they actually scale it on a much bigger scale. So looks like we'll be loading back into the matchup, and whether or not we will get any audio with that one, we'll have to see. But
you will soon.
Hopefully.
God, you're so demanding. God.
I want to hear, you know, the little
way.
sound. You know how the sounds like do the little when the operators switch? I love that.
Fair enough.
Yes, I play this game too much. I'm solidly aware.
A little too much sometimes. We've all seen you running around in T-Hunt on your stream, Jess.
A lot of T-Hunt, but you've got to warm up some way, and well, that's just my warm-up. But a couple of 6 picks coming out. I don't think any of the 6 picks will be too detrimental. Maybe the fact that you don't know a Capcan's on the board and some bad droning, which we've seen from FAV so far, might be a detriment to that. But most of the Capcans look like they'll be featured on and around the side, and FAV struggled to even get that far. So whether or not they'll be and to any effect will yet to be seen.
Yet to be seen. I mean, the biggest thing we're all looking forward to seeing is what happens at the half-time. Is it Cloud9 continuing on this dominant streak? Because pace is going to be the name of the game. So many teams on the attacking side on Cafe have struggled with it. We alluded earlier on to it's not just an APAC, we're seeing it all around the world. So hopefully Cloud9 have got a game plan coming into it. We'll see though how this final round of the defense goes. You can see the attacking lineup coming through here. It's going to be Chloroform going across onto that DKB. I think the whole focus there to try and isolate if there are any roamers. We've seen Envy Taylor do it earlier on the Vigil. Otherwise, I guess the main focus is going to be Charles, who might be trying to give them a little bit of grief. But I'm interested to see that with Envy Taylor being on the Capcan, we aren't going to see that Vigil on the top floor. How much impact can Charlotte actually have if he tries to go roaming? Right now, he's sat inside a bakery, and it looks like maybe there's even a bit of focus coming in towards that side as Typhon has got the diffuser over there. The rest of the team, though, focusing on getting on the roof and going for the top clear that we've now seen a few times over.
Well, I think it's a little bit safer for C9 not to lose Envy Taylor early on in the round, and he won't be putting himself in a compromising position just yet, but Nova is the one that would have been in the first line of sight, and well, he'll decide to quickly rotate down into reading. Envy is upstairs by himself. This is where things go wrong for C9. They need to play more coordinated. They need more synergy. They can't just be relying on Envy to pop off. Look at that. You can't be doing those things. And guess what? No one's there to trade him.
I mean, the one thing I will give, and they run straight into the Capcan as I thought they might. The nice thing you get around this is that once he's put down those traps, it's like a Jaeger. You can afford to go on the roam. However, not quite the fastest roamer, so it's not always the best thing to be doing. In this case, he's found himself picked off with the gun. Semi-decent. Some people love it. Some aren't too keen. I still wouldn't put it down there, or up there, should I say, as one of the best roaming guns. But you got Sweet Black playing just below on here, waiting on the stairs. No shotgun in hand just now, but they're so afraid of pushing down. They can see that suppressor. This is why you don't play suppressors. They stick out.
It's almost like a long barrel, and it's complete audacity. You can see he's trying to vault up here. This will give him a very good angle down. Unfortunately, he'll miss the mark ever so slightly, but he will give away his position with that, with the tip of his gun. And there's less than a minute left, so the attackers are in good stead, but they will finally find out the Valkyrie, and this is what we mean. If you roam by yourself, you cannot get traded. That is the risk you run, so you better hit your shots. And for Cloud9, they've hit almost none.
Already seen this though in the last round. It was the one where FAV came out on top. It started in a 3 versus 3, became a 3 versus 2. With Harper and Nova trying to be aggressive with a push from reading up white to try and close out some more kills, but ultimately it was FAV that came out on top into a 5 versus 2, and there is surely no way that FAV can lose this round, make it a 5 versus 1. This is looking like a very dominant half coming out of them, or I believe Shin may have just ran into yet another Capcan trap. Gonna try and run his way around, gets one down at the back of this, and he knows that there's a few penned inside a freezer. Sadly, can't do it all. FAV with a pretty dominant round 6 to close things out will finish the half at 4-2.
Well, this is what we said FAV needed. They needed this round to end the first half with at least 2 attacking rounds. That puts them in good stead to move forward on defense. They will start upstairs, so we'll see whether or not their lineup is going to be an aggressive one or whether it will be a passive one, as we've seen C9 do thus far. And of course, with the castle, it makes me think that they're just going to run the same default meta strategy that APAC's been running with Cafe at the moment. Castle on the cigar double door and sneak a little bit of a shotgun in there, and that's why you've got the mute.
Let's see how the second half goes then. I'm, again, concerned / curious / excited / a lot of things and feelings being mixed in here, because so many times we've seen teams start off and have a brilliant first half and then just give the whole thing away. Equally, we've seen some teams just charge their way through. One thing I have clocked pretty much immediately is Shin on the Oryx. Now, I know some have seen him over kind of recent weeks and assumed, okay, well, it's because he can dash fast, he can take a gunfight and then back away. Not quite. It's also the fact that he can jump up and down hatches. He can be up and down behind you in literally no time. I'm very excited to see if he ends up playing downstairs inside a train, and his whole aim is to get up inside of Piano behind the attackers once they've started getting themselves inside of White or pushing up through Cigar, things like that. So keep a close eye out for him and the sort of damage that he might cause in the mid-rounds.
Well, throughout all of the leagues so far, except maybe NA, which I myself haven't had time to be able to watch, I've not seen Oryx be that effective. And it's good that they're prepping this castle here because, I mean, I expect the attackers to destroy it, whether or not they use Charl on the Zofia, or if they use X-Kairos, or if they just go up and sledge it. But if he wants to get out of there quicker, then he has the opportunity to. And the hatch isn't open in Cigar Box, so he can't rotate out that way. And maybe he can go out through Piano and take a bit of a sneaky kill.
I don't know, I didn't really see too many ADSs stacked up inside of Piano either, so it shouldn't be too hard work to be able to blow these open. I don't see one in the spot where we saw Cloud9 putting it earlier on. We did see one earlier on placed down instead. What's this? Magnets instead. All right, fair enough. There's little blue glowing things, which you can't really see too easily, but they are indeed there. But Taipan is holding pretty aggressively here. Needs to be careful he doesn't get himself shot out, but should be able to retreat his way back to the safety of his shield in no time.
He'll only waste a little bit of time, but I thought that lay down approach that he had before underneath the castle window, that was a very good one. He knew the sledge would open it and only missed a couple of his shots and did no damage to him, but they'll start to open up the hatch below Cigar Box. Is no one there, or is he just fully aware that he's outside the window? He is, and he will not be able to move an inch, otherwise he will drop down. He's able to skate out of there for free somehow. What patience, what calm under such stress.
Indeed, but Harper's going to find him and pick him out there. Maybe a little too overstressed there because he was there, ready and waiting. What more they can do now they've got hold control of this west side. We saw FAV kind of struggle here for a good couple of minutes previously. It feels like C9 are in a similar spot because they haven't managed to remove Taipan from playing inside of washrooms. That may yet come back to bite them as a trade comes through. Harper going down, but Sweetback trades it back.
Well, they're yet to get Piano control, and a good trade there onto the run out. So now they'll finally make their way into Piano, and X-Kairos will make business with the wall, but they need to be a little bit faster because ultimately the defenders are in a good position here to hold this off. Unfortunately, there's no C4s in hand, so no one could drop below and try and deny the plant, so they're going to have to take engagements, whether 1v1, 2v2s, whatever they decide to take. They've got 30 seconds left to decide, and the attackers are coming in close.
After almost getting sprayed down there as well, that would have been unfortunate, but he keeps himself alive. So it's a 4 versus 3, 20 seconds to go. We always speak about the 6th man being the timer, the lower it gets for the defenders. Let's see if Cloud9 can make anything happen here. One up on the Scarlet. They got one playing actually upside on the west side of the map, sorry. Starting to push their way through right now. Down White Corridor, but it's a trade yet again coming through. Will there be yet another? Here we go. It's a 3 versus 1. C9 in control. The plant has gone down. It's all on Afro. We've seen what this man can do, but this is a tall order to win on a castle in a 1 versus 3 post-plant.
He's got almost no health. He hears a proximity alarm as well, so he's aware of the positioning towards the cocktail bar, and he'll hear a lot of demolition happening over there. He creeps his way around. He barely has any time, and look at this perfect post-plant from the sledge going up onto the skylight. It's planted for that. There's almost no way to counter it, and Sweet Black will finish Afro off instead, and Great plant, great post plant from C9 as well, but they were almost out of time on that one.
That's definitely running it down to the wire. And don't get me wrong, right? There is nothing wrong with running it down to the final 10 seconds before you go for a plant, as long as you are confident you can get away with it. If you haven't drawn things out, if you haven't cleared shields or haven't dealt with C4s previously, you know you're running into the risk of all those things potentially hindering you once you try and go for the execute. And in that case there, was it the quickest? Probably in the early round, no. It did take him a good minute and 45 seconds to actually assume control. But off the back of it, once it came around to finding kills, we had a bit of a war of trades going on inside of White, I think it's fair to say. I spoke earlier on around these crucial mid-round kills, which can really swing around one way or the other. The Ash finding the kill down White was the absolute pivotal moment for me. Getting yourself inside a cocktail, providing some cover, and stopping the defenders feeling so comfortable.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Exactly right. And now, just as if we've got a little bit of Groundhog Day, we'll see FAV move down to the bottom floor, just as we saw Cloud9 do on the first half. And I have a sneaky suspicion, given their operator picks, given the utility we're seeing, that they will also do a shield bakery hold, but they will also reinforce off the grill from the bakery front side, which means they won't be able to rotate back if they do commit to a bakery hold. And if Afro places a ADS, which he will confirm my suspicions, but I also want to see them do a vertical hold. We've seen how strong it was from C9. I'm hoping Fav reads into that and goes, yes, this is very important for us to run this. But it's almost a copy-paste of C9's defense on the bottom floor just the half go.
Yeah, back when they kind of went a bit more conservative, I guess, and focused a little bit less on having that vigil trying to cause troubles upstairs, or the cap can as well. So they have changed a couple of things around. But hopefully, as you say, there is the intent to waste time. For me, a large part of it's going to be what C9's approach is. Do they just have someone sit on flank watch and watch red stairs, watch white stairs, for example, and focus instead on the site? Or do they start on the top floor and go for a complete clear and make sure there is no chance of the defenders getting in behind them?
The top-down approach from Sweet Black looks like that's where we'll kick things off. He's got Envy with him, so hopefully they do a dual roam clear, because as we saw them on defense, it was very disappointing. They were getting picked off solo, never able to trade, but a quick entry from the Buck means that they have top floor control, so they're pretty confident about that. They'll get one of the Valkyrie cams, so good timing, and the default will go down as well. And now they need to make sure that the second floor is also clear, and surely there's drones accompanying this. There's no way you so confidently check all of these floors. I did hear one, but I'm not sure if I see another, and looks like they're just drone for themselves for the rest.
Well, I'd say it's definitely in faster time than we've seen other teams do. Inside about a minute and 45, well, a minute and 15 seconds gone, and we're seeing them now starting to get to work on ripping up this floor inside of Fireplace and Train. Other teams are taking a couple of minutes to get to this stage, so it's definitely in a spot where they are prepared to execute what they need to. The biggest challenge for me is going to be making these defenders move, getting them away from these power positions that can contest you as soon as you try and drop inside a freezer. The last thing you want to arrive to is a C4 or a smoke canister or being sprayed down from Christmas. There's all kinds of options here for the defenders still to work with. It's on Cloud9 to make them feel uncomfortable. They still have a lot of time in which to do so, though.
The fact that Envy's pre-firing over onto the flank, and the fact that they have no flank denial, they don't have the gridlock in hand, shows me that their flank hold might be their weakness here. But Sweet Black says good night, Typhon, and Harper will kick things off as well. But a good trade, and Shah will come zooming in, putting into a 2v4. This is bad for Fab. They know that the plan is down. I don't think they'll know exactly where it is, but they could have some suspicions. And well, if you are number 2 and Chloroform, just make it number 2. He's the only one left. Surely he has a C4 in hand. There was a drone on him, and as a result, the pre-fire comes out, and that's a convincing round from C9. And I'm worried because I'm more convinced by their attacking rounds than I have been their defending.
Well, it's been looking good. Cloud9 with a good pace of attack there as well. As mentioned, we've seen some teams earlier today already. Norengo, a team that took a long time to get control of that second floor. A good 2 minutes had passed before they even started doing any kind of soft destruction. But Cloud9, it's always good to compare and look at the pace and the difference. Inside a minute and 15 seconds, we're up to the same sort of tasks. So looking pretty good for them right now. Set at 6-2. This should be a win going their way as long as they can get just one more round under their belts. It isn't even the one that requires a full map clear. It's going to be Reading and Fireplace. So take control of the top floor. The rest of it should be pretty easy from there. But however, we already saw them defending this earlier on. And FAV, in that kind of position, had to make a choice. Do we just push second floor and risk getting shot from above? Or do we take top floor and risk being C4'd from below? It's a bit of a weird lose-lose situation where you need a lot of droning, a lot of coordination between team members. So there is still an opportunity here for FAV to run that clock down to make Cloud9 struggle.
Or given the prowess, it's prowess, isn't it? You know, I keep wanting to say it. I'm going to say skill from now on. I'm just not going to say the word. I'm just going to put a synonym in there, and it's going to be skill. Given the skill of C9 on their verticality, you've seen Evie Taylor with the way that he's able to just open up the floor so quickly and so confidently. There's 3 C4s on the side of FAV. If I was FAV, I'd turn around and I'd go, you know what? They're going to go for that top floor no matter what. How about we just use our utility from underneath and start tossing up C4 after C4 and hope that we collect something in the end. So we'll see whether or not that's going to be it. But look at this. That's a late timing to open up that small bakery window. But I actually think it's for a late jump out. So we'll see whether or not he even uses it.
I guess it's that constant. Me and you spoke about this the other day, right? The perceived pressure. Just because a window's open, you might start thinking as the attackers, well, a jump out might happen, or as the defenders, it might be an attacker might appear at that window at any time. It just creates a bit of friction and tension between the two teams as to who's going to play around that window. The answer right now is Cloud9 by the looks of it. They're trying to get themselves, I would expect, up onto the roof rather than pushing in through that window. But then maybe for Charles, the idea is to look towards red stairs. God knows, by the looks of it, he is going to rappel up onto the platform and looking towards Museum to take control of that stairway.
Well, by opening one window all the way down in Small Bakery, they've been able to use 1 Claymore and a heck of a lot of droning time, and that's great. Like I said, perceived pressure, that's really important, both on the defensive and attacking side. So, well done from Cloud9 and to be able to have a Claymore in hand, but even better from FAV to just open that up. It's such an easy thing to do. It's a barricade, but it does so much, and that might stall Cloud9 out a little bit, but given how fast they were on the previous round, we want to see that again, and there we go. Sweet Black and Nova will drop, make their way in, and now they're looking to get that cocktail control, because once they have that, they can get that vertical control.
This spot where it's taken about 1:30 to get control of that and start opening things up, so it's all time off the clock. You say 3 minutes in a round, say that to a team and watch them get cold sweats. It isn't strictly always going to be enough time to get everything done that you want to, which is where you sometimes see shortcuts being taken. But C9 do have control of both floors right now. They are able to get open what they need to. They are able to make sure there are no dodgy C4s or anything else waiting to greet them. Just making sure all their bases are covered. FAV so far haven't had to do much, mind you. They are sitting relatively static outside of Afro, who's looking to cause some trouble. He might come into lockerheads here with Harper, who's going to find himself concussing him out. Will he be able to hit the shots? No, he won't. Harper takes that first kill.
Good use of the concussion to be able to spot him out there, and then the pre-fire came in. I mean, of course, if I was the Valkyrie, I would have stepped back and, ooh, look at this. They didn't drone properly. We spoke about them spending a lot of time droning, but they didn't drone at top floor effectively at all. And they now know that this presence over towards the fireplace is at the distance, trying to run in. The Ash with the diffuser, not the play at all. Will this C4
beautiful?
Oh, yeah, baby. There we go. Kim will keep things off the FAV, and whew, they'll be wiping their brows after that round, because that was almost a win for Cloud9. And look at that body just come flying through. Just goes to show utility first, guns second.
Beautiful play coming out of Shin there as well in that situation where he knew he was being watched, where he had just been rushed into and still managed to get a perfectly placed C4 to secure the second in fireplace. Really good round there under a high pressure situation from FAV. C9 did the right things, I thought. They did get control of the areas they needed, but when it came down to it, ultimately that clock did start looking a little bit low. And FAV had successfully wasted a good amount of time for them. 6-3. We still find ourselves at match point. We need 3 more to force this through to overtime. Does it feel possible right now? We've seen FAV on a small resurgence, or is this more of a, well, that was a one-off. It's only one round. This next round, going back to one of the other sites, might see things closing out.
I mean, having watched what was that flurry of a round, I wasn't that convinced for FAV. I didn't look at that round and go, wow, that was very convincingly in the hands of FAV whatsoever. So I'm still very worried for them. Of course, top floor is something that defenders can often do well with, and this is what we were speaking about before. Unfortunately, the red dot can't collect that C4 midair, and he says goodnight. And that's a good use of utility, like you said, but I think for FAV, they're going to be feeling a lot of pressure. There's no way they can feel confident that they're able to put 3 consecutive rounds. They could put 3 rounds on the board, I have no doubt, but not consecutively.
That's the problem, right? We haven't seen them do that all game so far. There have been a couple of rounds strung together, but that was on the other half. And in this one, it's only been the one. So let's not get too excited or too ahead of ourselves. There is a possibility, but we know that that potential is low. Now looking at the hole coming out here, it's a similar one to what we saw before. And even team number 2 here prepping this castle barricade. So this could be really, really cheeky here. If he wants to mute jammer off the cigar shop area with the mute jammer, might just find himself, once they see a member of the attackers getting inside a piano, smashing that wall down and going straight for a kill. It's risky, but it can pay off massively if the attackers aren't expecting it.
A good adaptation here from FAV. They knew flashes rained in previous time that they held that key position of cigar, so they brought a warden to be able to counter it. Well done, but we'll see whether or not that is even useful. They're waiting for the second castle to go down, and the sledge will rappel over there to open that up for Charles, but Charles won't see anyone yet. Typhon's tucked really deep next to Piano on the Christmas tree, but he's the only one there to counter it. Those are the flashes I was talking about. You can hear the warden glasses going on and off, on and off.
Betting it, but not yet quite finding any reason to be too pressurized, I guess. It's nice how his gadget both prevents being flashed, but also removes anything that you're currently under as well. So you are in a spot where you should be able to deal with anyone trying to go too aggressive or spamming you with grenades. What's up the focus now is getting this open. It has indeed been opened up, and number 2 is in the spot to be able to help contest. However, being sprayed down from the windows is Typhon. Everyone's alive for now, but now that cigar shop is open, it's not going to be so comfortable to play out towards this west side. However, FAV have wasted a good 90 seconds here. I'd say this is a job well done. Get yourself back to site.
I cannot believe that Typhon survived that. Charles was watching that angle for ages, and for whatever reason, he let him cross all the way over to couches and then all the way back over to the pixel peak. So a little bit of a strange one there, but ooh, good shots coming out onto the defenders. FAV going down, but the trades came out even better, and there you go. In the end, they're going to be able to pick up number 2.
Oh, 2 kills.
I don't even know what happened there.
What?
I didn't even see those kills go down.
Oh, it's not the first time this game we've seen a 5 versus 3 that suddenly turns around entirely the other way. In fact, in round number 5, that's exactly what happened, and it was all down to Harper and Nova by themselves to try and save the round. This time, it's Afro and Chloroform. You've got him on the Jaeger, which might not be the worst operator for this instance. He wants to go aggressive here and look his way down White Corridor. He could, but I think instead you'll find the defenders opt to play for trades alongside each other in case it does come down to that. We have only got 30 seconds here, so there is still every possibility. We might see the attackers making a mistake, but Envy Taylor doesn't miss. Chloroform's down. It's all down to Afro by himself. We've seen him here. Gets the triple. Can he get the final one? No, he cannot. Unfortunate to lose that 1 versus 1, but Cloud9, the GG's coming out. They take this game 7-3 against FAV.
Oh, like I said, I just didn't think they'd be able to consecutively put the rounds on the board. I think FAV are a great team, but I think here they were outstrutted, outsmarted, and outgunned. And as a result, FAV will lose this matchup to C9. And C9, well, they're feeling pretty good about their cafe stats at the moment. We might see some more bans of this map against them into the future.
A couple of times played, a couple of times won. What can we say? It's been looking good, and this time around I thought they looked even stronger. We mentioned the time-wasting aspect of the first half. Even on the attacks, yes, was it absolutely flawless? It wasn't, but I think overall they've managed to control the clock pretty well and do pretty good with it. Speaking of controlling the clock, though, let's go over to our analysts to make sure we get this done nice and snappy. Analysts, all yours.
Thank you so much, Daz and